Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to talk about 5 champions, 4 epics, and 1 rare champion that I maxed out in 2020. Yeah, boy. That I was very pleasantly surprised in. Some of these champions I knew were going to be, at least pretty solid, but these champions are really, really good. And honestly, I wished I had invested in them sooner. Some might be obvious to you guys. Some might be, kind of a hidden gem to some of you guys. So hopefully you guys are having a good 2021 so far. What, 5, maybe 6 days, depending on when you're watching this, days into the year. Man, I mean, it's been a long year. It's been a long 2020. I didn't have like a monologue plan for you guys, but the thing that I miss the most is really, aside from all the, the tragedy and stuff, which really is the first thing I want to kind of turn the page on. But the biggest thing for me is really like concerts, music, sporting events, things that bring us together as human beings, right? Because I don't know if it's just me, not just politics, but everything, man. Everything seems so more tribal, in the world today. And obviously a lot of that's because of the internet, social media and stuff like that. And whatever, the whole social dilemma stuff. But for me, it's just like, geez, I want to, I miss coming together with people who are like-minded or not like-minded, but we have one thing in common. So for me, that's what I can't wait for again in 2021. Anyway, today, where am I going? Dungeons? Well, what's up with this video?
What's up?
We're going off the trails, or we're going off the tracks, excuse me, really early here. So let's get to the rare champion first. Today, I want to talk about probably the most obvious on my list, but man, what can I say? I think that Relic Retender is just an unbelievable champion. Now listen, I saw her, number 2, number 3 on rare tier lists before. I was checking out Chofly's and Hell Hades tier lists. This is earlier last year, and I saw them both rank Relic Retender very, very high. I saw other people on Reddit, on websites say Relic Retender is the best, rare support in the game. And I looked at her kit early on, and I was like, yeah, she looks really solid, but, is she a game changer? Like, I already have Apothecary. I'm kind of good, on rare supports. But man, she was nasty. I am so impressed with Relic Retender. I mean, she has the weak version of decreased attack, which is nice to have on an A1 if you don't have it on another champion for bosses. But she also has Tender's Watch. Removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a 15% big continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, removes all debuffs from all allies is such an incredible skill to have on a rare champion as strong as Relic Retender. I think Spirit Host has it as well, but this is really, really unique because of that heal, and because it's on a 3-turn cooldown, and because she has a revival in her kit as well. So really, her against any boss, think about pretty much any boss in the game, whether it's Spider, whether it's Dragon, whether it's Ice Golem, they're landing plenty of debuffs on your team. You don't have to worry about any of that when Relic Retender is on your team. She cleanses them and replaces them with that really, really strong heal. So just an incredible champion, and I find myself in almost every champion guide that I do here on the channel. I run, as a sample team, I like to include all rare champions if I can around that champion that we're focusing on. And man, I run Relic Retender on like every one of those teams because she is so incredibly good. To me, she feels like even if she was an epic champion, I would still probably include her on this list. That's how good she is. She's like a Void Epic champion, better than a lot of Void Epic champions in the game. So on this build that we have in terms of Masteries here, we're trying to get a little bit of damage out of our Relic Retender. So we have War Master there. That's going to give us a few 100,000 damage out of our Relic Retender, depending on the team around her, obviously. And then on the support tree, you could go with the continuous heals, heals with the continuous heals, but I went with a little bit of accuracy. That way she's, landing. What do I have her total accuracy at right now? She's landing all right at 138, the decreased attack. You'd be surprised at even a 140 or so accuracy, how consistent you can land, provided the affinity is correct, and this is a void affinity, so it's not a big deal, but against regular traditional dungeon bosses. Now, if we do want to land that decreased attack, we're going to have it higher for Doom Tower and Faction War, stuff like that. So that's a decision you guys have to make, but we went down, we grabbed Lore of Steel, but the most important mastery on your Relic Retender is going to be Lasting Gifts. having a chance at increasing the duration of continuous heal makes for a really, really powerful ability. Okay, so you can essentially have that continuous heal proc an extra turn on your champion, so a 3-turn continuous heal is really powerful on a 3-turn cooldown. Very, very, very good champion. I put her in Relentless set. If you don't have Relentless, go Reflex. Try Reflex on her. Reflex is so good on heavy nukers or really, really solid support champions with low cooldowns on their big kind of healing skill, or high cooldowns. It doesn't matter, right? Reflex is even better, I would say, I guess, on high cooldowns, now that the words come out of my mouth. In terms of the middle row of artifacts, we have HP percentage. You can easily go defense as well, so HP on the chest and on the gauntlets. We have speed on the boots, and then we have what? Defense, and attack is not what I recommend on the ring, guys. It's only because the 23 speed, we will definitely take that there. But normally on the banner, guys, I would just go with either resistance if you have it, or defense, or HP is totally fine. But look for speed as your substat on your banner, and let that dictate whether you're putting defense, HP, even attack if you have a really good trip speed roll like I do there. So that's how we're building her out. We're prioritizing speed on this champion. Try to get it above 200 if you can, and again, Relentless is amazing, or Reflex on this champion. Let's go ahead and keep moving this along. I'm going to show you guys all these champions kind of in on a team together in a dungeon at the end of this video as well. Talk a little bit about them while they're in action. So Rockbreaker, dude, this guy was an absolute game changer for me in Faction Wars. On his A1, increases champion's defense by 4% each time the skill is used, up to 20%. Pause. Masteries, right? Really cool to get retribution on this champion. That way he's counterattacking. Ergo, he's using his A1 more often, and then he is getting more and more defense up. So again, increasing defense by 20%, retribution is going to help a lot in that regard. So chest thump on his A2, 100% provoke on AoE on all enemies, and a counterattack on this champion for 2 turns. Counterattack is great because again, it's going to do this A1 even more often. So by the end of any round or the end of any battle, he's definitely going to have the 20%. So he's getting the self counterattack and the provoke, 100% provoke on all enemies on a 3-turn cooldown. That's a very, very strong ability for an epic champion. That's like a legendary ability right there. A consistent provoke champion on a 3-turn. Ironhide, a 50% chance of decreasing the damage inflicted on this champion by 50% each time this champion is attacked. And that's not on any kind of a refresh, not like every 5 turns. It's every turn he's attacked. He has a coin flip of blocking half the damage. So one of the best tanks in the game, provided the affinity is appropriate. Obviously, Spirit, you don't want him matching up against Magic. But other than that, man, he's a beast. He also has defense in arena battles by 30%. If you want to try him out in the arena as a CC champion, you can totally go ahead and do so. The only downside there is his speed is low at 91. Usually you want your crowd control champion in the arena built a bit faster, so it's going to be challenging to get enough speed on him. But if you can make him go second after your turn meter booster in the arena, great champion to consider for a AoE provoke. For Masteries, again, we talked about already the importance of retribution on this champion. We also want to get a little bit of damage out of him, so we did again go War Master on our Rock Breaker. So in terms of artifacts on this champion, well, let's talk about his overall stats real quick here. The idea here on Rock Breaker is you want him to be targeted, especially in Faction War 2020, what? Faction War 21 on Dwarves. Dude, I think that's the number one most difficult, I think a lot of people probably agree with me there, the number one most difficult faction crypt in the game. So we went ahead and we want him to be targeted by the red boss. So we try to build him with his HP to be the lowest on the team. So for me, 40k was the lowest on the team. I tried to stack, extra HP rings and HP amulets, whatever, on the other champions on that team. And then we stack everything else as defense. So we don't want a ton of HP. I mean, some of it's coming from the Great Hall. You can't do much about that, right? And then in some of it's from a classic arena as well. But then we just want to stack as much defense as possible. His speed is low, but it's okay. And of course, his accuracy, we're aiming for above 200 for dungeons and for faction wars. If you want to go ahead and use him in the arena, I would shoot for 300, depending on where you are. For like gold 4, I think 300 is going to get the job done more often than not, provided, again, you're not going against a bunch of magic affinity, which does kind of suck because arena meta always has kind of been predominantly magic. Anyway, we went with obviously a lot of defense. Defense percentage. We went speed on the boots, need that speed. And then we went, ooh, I don't like that. We went HP on the ring. Probably, it's okay, obviously, if you have the rest of the team higher HP than him, but probably to be safe, I want to recommend crit damage or defense on the amulet, defense on the ring, and defense, of course, on the banner as well. Could also go accuracy on the banner. Accuracy sets work very well on him, and perception sets work well on him. Getting extra accuracy is always helpful, or just defense for Rockbreaker. So Rockbreaker, definitely an incredible tank inside the game. Next champion is Gorgrab. So I maxed Gorgrab very, very recently just for the Doom Tower, right? I needed him for an Undead Horde or for an all support team. I forget what the heck it was. You know how it is. It's really weird, some of these secret floors. I forget which one it was, but one floor I needed Gorgrab for, and I was like, okay, I guess this is it. I guess I'm finally going to max one of the most popular champions in the game. And let me tell you, this dude is cool, right? So on his A1, he has a chance of removing a buff. That's all right, right? On his A2, though, fills a turn meter of all allies 15%, and then places an increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Now, believe it or not, I think there's only 6, maybe 7 champions in the game, non-legendary, who have an increased attack on all allies. Seeker's probably the most popular, but Gorgrab deserves to be in this conversation because increased attack, you know, is such a powerful buff to have. I mean, you know, you're increasing your damage by 50%, you know, essentially. It's really, really powerful, right? So I should say it's underrated to have an AoE increased attack champion. And even legendaries, I think there's probably only about a half a dozen of them in the game, so it's not a skill that you see everywhere. And then, of course, he has Animate. Revives all dead allies, or any dead allies, with 25% HP, and then heals all allies by 25%. So a solid heal with you know, a revival everybody, a full revival. And of course, Aura, increased speed in the arena battles by 23%. I mean, I don't use him in the arena, but a lot of people run him, especially in, you know, gold arena. They run him as their arena speed lead, and then he's also your speed booster, and then he can come in and animate and pick everybody else up. But I was surprised at the amount of just, you know, times I had to animate, I had to revive dead allies, and it was really nice to get the increased attack as well on that team in Doom Tower. And I gotta say that Gorgrab, you know, he's solid. Is he the best champion in the game? Is he the best epic champion? No. But he's definitely a solid support champion who I feel like could fit in a bunch of different teams, help in a bunch of different areas. And you guys know that's something I put a high value on here, is just their overall versatility, these champions. Again, War Master for the same reason we talked about on the other champions. And again, lasting gifts on this champion as well. We also have Allure Steel because I have him in a triple speed set. Just looking for speed. He's an easy champion to build for the most part, right? I mean, on his A1, the removing 1 buff is predicated on having some accuracy, but I wasn't so concerned with that. I just kind of decided to build him really tanky and as fast as I could possibly get. So we have a 2 or 3 speed. We have, you know, again, didn't really pay attention to accuracy there because we weren't too concerned with it, but you can build him out with accuracy if you care about stealing those buffs on the A1. And then as much HP and defense as we could land on him. Again, an easy champion to build, which is nice for a change, right? Defense, HP, speed, and then again defense, HP on the or we went attack again, I guess just because of the speed on the banner. I wouldn't necessarily advise going attack on this champion because all his damage is really coming again from the A1, which we have War Master to proc on anyway, but you know, not the end of the world if you want to stack a little bit of attack on him. So that is Gorgrab. Really a big fan of that champion, and right next to him is Allure. Man, Allure is even better than she once was, because again, she does so well in Doom Tower, specifically against bosses. There's not that many turn meter specialists, certainly not on the same level as Allure. She was used predominantly as a Fire Knight specialist for so long, but now I waited a while for Fire Knight, and now I'm just like, wow, or the first time I used her in Fire Knight, I'm like, wow, this is like cheating against the Fire Knight, right? Her mechanics on her A1, which she will auto to, by the way, against the Fire Knight. And this is what makes her so amazing. Just her A1, her Psychic Whip, attacks 3 times at random, decreases target's turn meter by 25% on each critical hit. So even against Fire Knight, you know, you're not going to land every single critical hit. Therefore, you're not going to land all of those decreased turn meters, but it's enough to keep that shield down. And against every boss in Doom Tower as well, it's going to be extremely beneficial. If you have Allure in your vault, consider, if you're struggling with any of the Doom Tower bosses, consider maxing her out, because, you know, the downside to her, by the way, is she's very fragile. 793 on the defense. Whoa, that's low. So you're gonna have to make sure you put some defense on her. I went defense on the chest. Even her HP is low too. I did build her out in crit rate gauntlets, but listen guys, even though you're gonna see on her A2 and her A3, it looks like she's gonna put out some serious damage. She's not a typical nuker. She's not putting out tremendous damage. She's really a control specialist with that A1. However, you can get damage out of her, like in the comp that I show you guys with all these champions at the end of the video. She's gonna be doing some damage, okay? So crit rate, on the gauntlets, if you can. If she's dying all the time, don't be afraid to stack some more defense, more HP on this champion. And for that reason, again, HP, we have a double roll defense here on the ring. Let's see if we can add a little bit to that too through a glyph, and we get the trip roll, not bad at all. So 20% defense extra on that ring is going to help us out a lot. And then we have crit damage with some accuracy, a triple roll there on the amulet. Amulet is such a good source of accuracy, guys, on any champion that you have that needs accuracy. And she needs accuracy. You can see accuracy on the banner and 348 overall accuracy on this champion, because we need accuracy to land not just her debuffs that she has and the other skills in her kit, but most importantly that A1 turn meter manipulation. So attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a chance of placing the weak version of decreased defense, which is nice if you don't have another decreased defense champion on your team. Maybe you're using her in, you know, Demon Spawn Faction Wars and you just don't have it. It's nice to have at least the weak version there. And attacks one enemy, has a 30% extra chance of inflicting a critical hit, and will ignore 50% of target's defense on Hellish Blaze on a 6-turn cooldown. It makes you feel like, wow, this must be a beast ability. She must be a huge nuker. Not really the case. It doesn't hit that hard, but it's not, you know, it's obviously fairly hard hitting. So pretty easy champion again. In terms of masteries, we went with Master Hexer to extend the duration of her debuffs that she does have. And we went Giant Slayer. She does have a triple hitter on her A1 3 times at random. So we went with the Giant Slayer as our tier 6 mastery on our Allure. Allure is definitely a champion that, again, is worth investing in. And then last out of the 5 champions, I wanted to give a nod to a guy that we haven't mentioned here on the channel in forever. Where is he? And it is, there he is. It is none other than Thenasil. So Thenasil, a champion, like I said, I mean, he feels like an old school champion. He's been around, you know, forever, but still, he's so good. And I think he's kind of undervalued by a lot of players who need some support. You can see there's a support heavy list here. Maybe I'll make a nuker kind of follow-up, because there's really no nukers on this list. But asleep on the A1, whatever. But this oak skinned ability, man, it is so strong. It increased defense on all allies for 2 turns, and then heals all allies by 25% of this champion's max HP on a 3-turn cooldown. Really, really solid. Attacks all enemies, decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. That is, again, based on accuracy to decrease the duration of all enemy buffs. Not too bad. It's a 5-turn cooldown, but think about it. Sometimes enemy buffs are only 1 or 2 turns anyway, so decreasing might, in a lot of cases, be just buff removal. So for that reason, he's worth considering building an accuracy. I don't think I have him in an accuracy build today. Also for Thenasil, very, very sneaky, underrated. Next to Siphi the Lost Bride, he has the highest dungeon resist aura inside the entire game. Nobody in the game, aside from Siphi, has a better dungeon aura for resist. So 70 resist on all allies is very, very strong. That can resist a lot of the debuffs, again, by the bosses of dungeons. So don't sleep on that resist on Thenasil. We'll run him as our aura lead in today's video. Again, War Master on this champion. And listen, this is a tricky one to go on the support tree, a little bit more difficult to build, because do you build him with the accuracy, or do you build him with heals, or do you try to kind of thread the needle and do both? Up to you guys. I would prefer to try to thread that needle and do both. So we went with all the healing masteries here, and we ended on lasting gifts. And again, War Master as a tier 6 mastery on this champion, kind of just hugging the left side of the offense tree. And let's see. Okay, we have him with a decent amount of accuracy, but not a ton here. Immortal sets, you know, this champion, he has a decent HP and a decent defense as well, and he's pretty speedy. Want to take advantage of that speed, and I have speed boots on this champion. What do we have here? We have a level 12 resistance chest on him right now. Interesting decision there, Ash. Not sure what I was thinking. I don't think it's the end of the world to put resistance on this champion. We have crit damage. Man, kind of a weird build we have here, guys. I think this is kind of like a throwing equipment on a champion type thing. I should have checked on this. I checked the masteries of all these champions, but not the artifacts. And we have a level 8 helmet on him as well. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Throw away what I have on this champion. Priorities on your Thenasil are going to be get some accuracy if you care about that A3 landing, and then get speed again. I almost wish he didn't have the A3, because if he didn't, even though it's a kind of nice ability to have, if he didn't have it though, think about it, you could run him in reflex, and boy would he be OP with oak skinned on a 40% chance to refresh that cooldown, right? Either way though, speed, we're looking for defense percentage or HP percentage on the chest, and then we're looking for critical rate or defense HP percentage on the gauntlets. And then again, we have defense, we have HP, and we have HP. I think that's totally fine. We could obviously put accuracy on the banner as well. So let's go ahead and try all these champions together. I'm not going to show you the whole battle because we'll probably be here for what, 7 minutes or something, with no real damage dealers aside from Allure kind of sort of on the team. But here are these 5 champions, guys. Let me know, out of these 5 champions, have you built any of these 5? If so, have you been equally as impressed as I am, or do you find one of these champions maybe underwhelming? And I want to throw the question to you guys too. You know, who is there a champion, an epic or rare champion specifically that you invested in and you thought to yourself, wow, why didn't I do this way long ago? Like, let me know in the comments below, because maybe there's a champion there that I have in my vault that I have not invested in yet. So you're going to see this team here. The thing is even with every single A1 and the counterattack there, and you can see the provokes already went off, but they were landed by Rockbreaker. Every single A1 is going to be gaining that early defense that will carry over round to round up until when we get to the Ice Golem. And you can see what, that was the double hit, the A2 of Allure hitting for about 5,000 on each hit. So again, we'll see her, oh, that was the double hit, my bad, 7,000, 7,000. The first one was her A1 random targets, my bad on that. But still, 7,000, 7,000, 14k on an AoE. She's going to be our biggest damage dealer on the team. You can see the relentless procs of Relic Retender. And the biggest thing to take notice here of on this team is we're never gonna die, man. Like, how is this team gonna die? We have so much defense packed into this team, so many heals, so good with the crowd control, and even if we do die, we have 2 revivers on the team in Relic Retender and in Gorgrab. I'm gonna come back at you guys when we get to the Ice Golem. Alright guys, so we got to the, through the second round. It was very easy again, just landed the provokes and that was it, right? We were just able to kill the Terror Beast, and even if they did get the reflect damage on that buff, the Shriek ability, it wouldn't have been a big deal because we're not even putting out that much damage to have to worry about dying to, right? So you can see Allure specifically here, guys, with her A1. That's not her A1, that's her A2, but we have the weak version of decreased defense, still landing with a, oh, actually she has high accuracy, my bad. It was, who was the one with low accuracy here? That we talked about. I think it was Relic Retender. But I'm sure she's going to be able to land her decreased attack at some point too against the Ice Golem here. But at this point, I mean, you know, so much healage between Thenasil and between even Gorgrab's Revival, if he ever needs to use it, does have that heal as well. But Thenasil and Reliquary, like, they're going to have all the healing that any team would need. And you're going to see Allure, if she gets to her A1 here, I think it's up next, that turn meter just consistently go down on the Ice Golem. And there it goes. Again, that turn meter went from what, 20-25% all the way down to 0, and that's going to happen every single time. And again, you saw it right there, 1 2 3. So really beneficial, and that's how it works so well against the Fire Knight, right? Because even if we're not landing it on all 3 hits, it's really nice to even 2 hits are 50% turn meter depletion. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you like this kind of video idea where we talk about, you know, 3, 4, 5 champions, whatever, that I either loved or maybe champions that I hated. Because at the end of the day, there are some regrets that I have as well in 2020 regarding champions that I invested in and I was just honestly left wanting a little bit more from. So guys, I will go ahead and come at you at the very end, do my final sign off. All right guys, so just got the job done here and you can see, wow, Thenasil, man, putting out some serious healing, 1.6 2.6 million in heals. Relic Retender with about a third of that, 542. And then we have Allure being, as we predicted, the big damage dealer, 2.2 mil, and Rockbreaker coming in at number 2 spot at 1 million, even with a 30% crit rate. So guys, that's going to do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.